Picture this. It's January 15th, 1919, Boston. Unseasonably warm for winter, almost 40 degrees. People are out on their lunch break. Horses are pulling carts through the North End. Kids are playing near a warehouse. And then, without warning, they hear it. A low groan, like a giant waking up. It's not thunder. It's not an earthquake. It's a 50-foot-tall steel tank holding over 2 million gallons of molasses, tearing itself apart at the seams. In the next 90 seconds, a wave of thick brown syrup taller than a 2-story building is going to rip through the streets of Boston at 35 miles an hour, faster than you could run. By the end of the day, 21 people will be dead, not drowned in water, drowned in molasses. This is one of the strangest, most disturbing disasters in American history, and almost nobody talks about it, so let's fix that. Okay, first things first. Why was there a 5-story tank of molasses sitting in the middle of a Boston neighborhood in the first place? Back in 1919, molasses wasn't just for pancakes. It was one of the most valuable industrial liquids in America. You could ferment it into industrial alcohol, and that alcohol went into everything, including ammunition during World War I. So, the Purity Distilling Company built this massive tank right in Boston's North End, packed between apartment buildings, a fire station, and an elevated train line, 50 feet tall, 90 feet wide, holding enough molasses to fill about 3.5 Olympic swimming pools. And here's the part that should make you angry. From the very first day they filled it, that tank leaked. Neighborhood kids used to bring cups and scrape sweet syrup right off the outside of it. Instead of fixing the leaks, the company just painted the tank brown so nobody would notice. That's not a red flag. That's a 5-alarm fire, and everyone just ignored it. Now fast forward to that warm January afternoon. Warm weather actually matters here. Molasses had just been delivered a few days earlier, still warm from the shipping process, and it was fermenting inside that tank. Fermentation means gas. Gas means pressure, and that tank was never built to handle it. At 12:30 p.m., the tank failed completely. Not a crack. The whole structure ripped open, and rivets shot out like bullets. Witnesses said they heard machine gun-like popping sounds as the steel plates tore apart. And then it came. A wave of molasses 2.5 stories high, moving at 35 miles per hour. For comparison, that's faster than most people can sprint. It didn't just flood the streets, it flattened them. It picked up train cars and threw them off the tracks. It knocked a firehouse clean off its foundation. It crushed buildings like they were made of paper. And molasses isn't like water. Water spreads out and drains away. Molasses is thick, sticky. It doesn't let go. People and horses caught in the wave weren't just knocked over, they were trapped, like flies in honey, as the syrup thickened around them in the cold air. Rescue workers spent hours, some accounts say days, wading through waist-deep molasses trying to find survivors. Some victims weren't found for almost a week. Here's the detail that always gets people in the comments. The cleanup took weeks. Boston Harbor itself turned brown. Rescue workers, firefighters, even Navy cadets from a nearby ship were called in just to help clean the streets. And this next part sounds like an urban legend, but it's actually well documented. For decades afterward, longtime Boston residents swore that on hot summer days, you could still catch a faint whiff of molasses in the North End. The syrup had soaked so deep into the wood, brick, and cobblestone that the smell just never fully left. 21 people died. Over 150 were injured. Homes were destroyed. And for a long time, the official story was simple. It was just a freak accident. Bad luck. Nobody's fault. That was a lie, and it took a massive court case to prove it. Survivors and victims' families sued the company, and what followed was one of the longest civil court cases in Massachusetts history at the time. Over 3,000 witnesses, 6 years of hearings, and the truth that came out was brutal. The tank had been built too fast, with steel far too thin to hold that much liquid, and it was never properly tested. The company had known about the leaks. They knew about the groaning sounds coming from the tank in the days before it failed. They chose to do nothing. The court ruled against the company. It was a landmark case, and it directly led to something you still benefit from today: stricter building codes. After this disaster, the U.S. started requiring engineers to submit calculations signed and verified before major structures could be built. So the next time you walk into a skyscraper, a stadium, a bridge, and you don't think twice about whether it's going to collapse on you, you can trace part of that safety, in a strange way, back to a flood of molasses in Boston in 1919. So here's the question I want to leave you with. An entire neighborhood knew that tank was dangerous. Kids were literally scraping leaking syrup off the walls, and nobody stopped it until 21 people died. How many small leaks are we ignoring right now in our own lives, waiting for them to become the next disaster? Let me know what you think in the comments, and if you didn't know this story before today, tell me, because I want to know how many of you are learning about this for the first time. And if you want more forgotten disasters like this one, Stories History Basically Erased, subscribe, because there are a lot more where this came from.